Most men think love is something they can earn with effort, words, and timing. They believe if they say the right thing, show up consistently, buy the flowers, and compliment her enough, she'll fall. But that's not how it works. Not really. A woman doesn't fall because of what you say. She falls because of how she feels when she's with you. It's not logic. It's not a checklist. It's emotional memory. The subtle, invisible imprint you leave on her nervous system every time you're around her. That's what she falls in love with, often without even realizing it's happening. You don't need the perfect line. You need the presence, the energy, the stillness that makes her feel something she didn't expect to feel. It starts in moments that most men overlook. When she goes quiet, when her energy shifts, when she doesn't text the same way or laughs less than she used to. That's where the real test begins. Because in those moments, she's not pulling away to punish you. She's watching how you respond when she isn't performing, when she isn't easy to handle. Do you start panicking, over-talking, trying to pull her back in? Or do you breathe? Do you hold your ground? Can you give her space without needing to fill it? That's the difference. That's where attachment begins. Not when you impress her, but when you don't need her mood to define yours. When your presence feels like safety, not pressure. Most men don't realize how loud they become in silence. But the man who's calm when she's distant, the man who doesn't chase when she slows down, he becomes unforgettable. Because he's not reacting, he's holding space. And that quiet steadiness, that's what makes her heart start to trust, without her even knowing why. Emotions are where most men lose their footing. The moment, woman shows intensity, anger, sadness, confusion. They either shut down, get defensive, or scramble to fix everything. But the man who can hold his ground in that emotional storm, he becomes different in her eyes. He becomes rare. Because women aren't looking for someone to solve them. They're looking for someone who can stand still while the waves crash. Not to be passive, but to be present. The man who doesn't flinch when emotions show up is the one who makes her feel something deeper than attraction. He makes her feel safe. And safety, that emotional safety, is the foundation of real connection. When a woman gets emotional, she's not asking for solutions. She's asking, can I be this raw and still be held? Most men can't handle that. They interrupt, invalidate, or panic. But the man who simply listens, who doesn't rush to speak or defend himself, creates a completely different emotional experience. He listens without needing to fix. He breathes through the tension. He doesn't let her emotions control him, but he respects them. That calm in the chaos, that's where her walls start to fall. Even more than that, it's how you respond to her imperfection. Not just when she's emotional, but when she's moody, messy, unsure. Most guys want the good version of her, the easy, sweet, put-together one. But when she sees that you don't judge her in her flaws, when you hold her in her low moments with the same steadiness as you do in the highs, something changes in her. She stops performing, she stops testing, she starts trusting. And once she trusts you with her chaos, with her realness, she begins to fall, not for the version of you she first met, but for the calm, grounded man you continue to be. There's a kind of man who doesn't need to prove himself through dominance or control. He leads not with loud commands, but with quiet confidence. He doesn't talk over people or force his way forward. He simply moves with purpose, and others naturally follow. That's the kind of leadership women are drawn to. Not the man who tries, to overpower her, but the one whose energy says, "I know where I'm going." He doesn't need to bark orders or insist on control. He just decides. He plans with intention. He acts without hesitation. And in doing so, he creates a space where she feels like she can finally exhale. Women don't want to be controlled. They want to relax. But they can only do that around someone who feels steady, not just strong. And when your leadership feels safe, not aggressive, she lets go. She doesn't give up her power. She just stops needing to use it to protect herself. Your confidence gives her permission to drop her armor. She doesn't follow because you took control. She follows because your direction feels trustworthy. But it's not just about your leadership. It's about your boundaries. A man who values his peace, who doesn't need constant validation, who doesn't jump at every message or explain himself endlessly just to be liked, that man carries a different weight. He respects his energy. He doesn't give it away easily. That restraint, that discipline, that quiet control, it's powerful because it says, "I choose who I give my time and emotions to." And that kind of man, he stands out. He becomes the one she thinks about when she's alone, not because he tried so hard to impress her, but because his self-respect left a lasting impression. And in a world full of noise, his calm, grounded presence is the one thing she can't ignore. Real connection isn't something you force. It's not built by diving headfirst into deep conversations, oversharing your traumas, or demanding vulnerability too soon. Most men think the path to closeness is intensity. They try to fast-track emotional intimacy by saying too much, too quickly. But that only pushes her away. True connection is quiet. It unfolds at its own pace. The man who understands this becomes unforgettable because he's not trying to create a moment. He's simply present enough to let one happen. He doesn't fill every silence with questions. He doesn't push her to open up. He's just there. Steady, patient, respectful of her pace. And that patience is powerful. Because when a woman opens up, it's not because she was asked the right question. It's because she felt safe. And that kind of safety isn't created by words. It's created by energy. The man who listens to understand, not to reply. The man who holds space without needing to take up space. He becomes the one she opens up to, even when she didn't. Plan on it. And beyond that, she starts to feel something even more magnetic. She starts to feel the rhythm of a life that's already in motion. A man who isn't waiting for her to complete him. He has purpose. He has direction. He doesn't talk about his dreams. He's living them. That kind of movement, that quiet momentum, makes her curious. She doesn't want to be his whole world. She wants to enter it. She doesn't want to be his reason to grow. She wants to witness his growth and feel inspired by it. The less he needs her to feel complete, the more she starts wondering what it would feel like to be part of something that doesn't need her but genuinely wants her. That's what draws her in. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't chase, not because he's playing games, but because he's emotionally centered. He's not cold. He's not distant. He's just composed. That kind of emotional control is rare, and women feel it instantly. He doesn't overreact when plans change. He doesn't spiral when she pulls back. He doesn't constantly need reassurance to feel secure in the connection. That calm energy, that grounded presence, it creates a sense of mystery. Not because he's hiding, but because he doesn't need to be seen to feel valid. Emotional gravity is the pull she feels when you aren't shaken by her storms. When she brings chaos, mood swings, or uncertainty, and you stay rooted, that's when everything shifts. She sees that her emotions don't threaten you, her unpredictability doesn't scare you, and in a world where most men either cling or flee, your stillness feels powerful. You're not trying to fix her. You're not trying to control her. You're simply unmoved in the best way possible. That's what makes her lean in. That's what makes her feel something she can't fully explain. It's not about being unavailable. It's about being stable. You don't give access to every part of yourself immediately. You don't let every emotion pour out. You're selective. You move slow. Not because you're guarded, but because you value your inner world too much to let just anyone inside. And she feels that. She feels that you have a deep core, that you are solid within yourself. That's what creates desire. Not desperation, but dignity. Not emotional neediness, but emotional strength. And when a woman senses that she can't move you too easily, that her highs and lows don't make you chase or retreat, that's when curiosity turns into trust, and trust into something much harder to walk away from.